If you're planning on maybe getting the M1 MacBook Air and you're unsure whether it's still worth it in 2025, let me just tell you that, it's a really complicated answer. And I want to share my experience, what it was like using this machine. Keep in mind that this was from 2022 all the way to mid-2025. And this is a business management degree. So yes, you do a lot of different things like marketing, finance, economics, and all these things. And I also want to say that this is the base model M1 MacBook Air. So this is the base model, nothing fancy. So yeah. Let's just get started. The first point I want to make about this machine is that when it comes to portability, it is an easily portable machine. It is very small, it is very light, it doesn't take a lot of space either. Overall, this is a perfect sized machine. The next point I also want to address is the display. So the display is great. It is a Retina liquid display. Like for indoor use, this machine is absolutely great. I have no complaints about this machine. Of course, it doesn't support things like HDR, and if you compare it to something like an iPad display, you will see that there is a big disparity. But you know, that's newer devices, newer technology, better technology. And yes, the machine is also 60 Hz, which again, it doesn't really matter once you're actually using it. You get used to that, but generally speaking, it's fine. It is a little bit of a smaller display though, so it's not quite realistic to have two apps side by side, but you can just, you know, like swipe and switch apps. Like that's not a big deal. But hey, it's a trade-off. It is a small laptop and it is meant to be that way so it can be portable. So it's a take it or leave it situation in this case. Using this machine indoors is fine. It gets bright enough. I wouldn't recommend using it outside. It doesn't actually get very bright. I think it's something like 400 nits, but for indoors, it's completely fine. Now, when it comes to performance and making, of course, all of those massive essays, if you're a business student, you will know that that performance is critical. It wouldn't surprise you at this point that this machine is quite capable. It is able to have, say, like 3 Word documents open at the same time with like Safari and like 7 pages open, PowerPoint in the background. This device will be just fine. Performance is good. You might see stutters every now and then. That is just something you're gonna have to get used to, especially as this machine ages and you have like 5-7 applications with like multiple pages within each of them. Then you will start to see some stuttering. I didn't actually ever see the red pressure indicator in activity monitor, so that's good. It means the machine is able to juggle all these tasks. It's not like it's gonna slow you down to the point you won't be able to do your assessments. That's just ridiculous. It's a Mac. It's an M1 Mac. It's not an Intel machine. Get that. And I just want to say that all of this is happening, you know, with only a machine that has 8 GB of RAM. Yes, it has unified memory, so you can tap into the SSD, but I never actually noticed any sort of like physical slowdown, except for maybe like the stuttering every now and then. But I mean, every machine is going to do that at some point, even if it's like brand new with like 100 and something gigabytes of RAM. That's not a problem. Performance is going to be just fine. But like I said, only if your papers are mainly for like reports and essays. If you're talking about something like computer engineering or like programming, like then you're actually looking into more powerful machines, and I would suggest you completely omit this one from your list. Now, it's been many years now, so by now a lot of developers have been able to adapt to the new Apple Silicon, which is good. Apps run smooth, apps run actually a lot better than they used to in the past. Most of them today open like instantly, your computer wakes up instantly. So a lot of things have changed, but at the same time, you know, things have only actually got better. There might be a few apps that don't work, and if this is something that is in relation to your course, please check the prerequisites because compatibility is something crucial. Keep in mind that this machine is fine doing some light video editing. However, because it's a MacBook Air without the fans, once it heats up, it'll start to throttle that performance so it doesn't, well, cook itself to death. It is a great machine, and actually I'll go as far as to say this M1 MacBook Air probably supports and is more compatible with more software out there than a lot of Windows laptops. Those things, like their own updates, break them. I'm not saying Apple is immune to making these silly mistakes. Every month you'll hear like Microsoft breaks their computers with a new update. Something you don't hear coming from Apple very often. Also, just a disclaimer here, if you are someone who's doing anything in Microsoft Excel, this is where things get interesting. However, there was a time where, while doing data analytics, it did come up with a few problems. And I have no idea why, but it seems that Macs don't support some features that are available in Excel, like exclusively. on the Macs only. And the specific things that didn't quite work for me were Power Query. I don't know how much that's used nowadays, but that's something that you might have to look into at some point. It might actually start bugging out, and it might not allow you to do some things like split data by dates, because apparently Macs don't have the option. Apparently they just don't have the option to separate that. There's a lot of like workarounds, and they just didn't work for me. Also, when it comes to doing some graphs, the interface is different. Some options seem to be missing. I couldn't quite get the graphs to look like they did on my gaming PC. Lucky I had my gaming PC arrive like that same week, so I was able to just do the assessment on that big boy over there. Yeah, it was like the one time when it actually let me down. Pivot tables as well. Pivot tables seem to have some options missing. The interface looks different, and sometimes it just outright looks wrong. Like it doesn't give you the same things that it would give you if you put the same settings on a Windows computer. So be aware of that. And it seems that when you come into these issues, if you try and like transfer from Mac to a Windows computer, it'll just tell you it's not compatible. So clearly something's going wrong. So be aware of that. And if your course requires that you do all of that, maybe just to be safe, go for a Windows computer or a laptop or something. Because yeah, you don't want to spend so much money just for it to not be able to do something basic. Now, connectivity is something very important if you're using something like Teams, or you're doing like an online course, and obviously you want to be able to be seen properly. And these cameras are fine. They're not the best, obviously, but they'll get the job done. That's what I'm trying to say here. And also the read and write speeds of the SSD in the M1 MacBook Air are actually really fast. So if you have to transfer a lot of big files, this machine is actually a very good option. Also, when it comes to like media consumption, this machine is great. Like I said, the screen is fine. You'll be fine watching movies on this computer. The brightness, well, like I said, it gets bright enough. It's fine, and it's actually even better if you have other Apple devices like an iPhone. You can mirror the screen of your iPhone to your Mac, so you don't have to constantly reach out to your iPhone. So all these things really add up, and they really give you a really great experience. Anyway, guys, that is everything I wanted to talk about of what it was like to use the MacBook Air during my business management degree. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll try my best to answer them. Otherwise, you can go and check out my other video about the different types of Macs. So if you're new to the Apple ecosystem and you don't know what the different Macs mean, that video quickly summarizes the different types of Macs and what their general use purposes are for, so you can go and check them out, and maybe it'll make your life a little bit easier. And I will see you in the next one.